hacking is dead. At least that's what my timeline tells me every 5 minutes. AI is gonna commoditize software, AI is gonna take over, why make a software app? Why pay $20 a month when ChatGPT can just vibe code me an app? I think every single one of those takes is wrong. And I think the people that are saying this are going to miss the biggest build cycle in the world. So yeah, the title of this video is a lie. Indie hacking isn't dead. It is actually the most alive it's ever been, but I wanna show you exactly why. Let's rewind back to the early 2000s. If you wanted to create an e-commerce store and sell a physical good online, you either had to be rich enough to hire an engineer or be an engineer yourself. You needed a million things to get an e-commerce store open because you had to buy a domain, set up a website, you need a payment processor that wasn't gonna ban you for being a small seller. You needed a shopping cart that wouldn't break on Safari. You needed inventory syncing, shipping syncing. Everything that you feel is commonplace today didn't exist in the 2000s. You basically had to be half merchant and half engineer to sell anything online in the 2000s. Then Shopify happened, and WooCommerce happened, Stripe happened. But here's what didn't happen. It wasn't suddenly the case that every single person suddenly opened a Shopify store and became a millionaire. There were millions of people who actually did open a Shopify store, but none of them even made money. What actually happened is this. The tide for everybody rose and the bottleneck moved. The technical tax on selling online disappeared, meaning you didn't have to be an engineer anymore. And the people who couldn't code, but they were creative enough and had taste, such as the person who knew exactly what type of tote bag a 28-year-old in Brooklyn wanted, or the person who knew what type of hot sauce was missing from the shelf, or the person who wanted to put olive oil in a squeeze bottle. Those people could finally compete, and a lot of them won. Not because the tools made them entrepreneurs, but because the tools removed the part that wasn't entrepreneurship. And this is exactly what AI is doing to software engineering right now. The simple read that you see on the timeline is this: AI can code, so software engineering is dead. I think the actual read is AI writes code, so now the people who couldn't code before are your competition. This is the same paradigm we saw in the 2000s, where everyone wanted to start an e-commerce store, and then suddenly it was available to do so. You can go create an e-commerce store in as easy as 5 minutes. But do you see your grandma being a millionaire selling tote bags online? No, because there still needs to be a level of taste and creativity required to be an entrepreneur and make money online. Every marketer with taste, every operator with domain expertise, every niche obsessive who's been watching their industry get ignored for a decade, and every person who actually lives in a customer's pain can now create software. The only thing that has changed so far isn't that software is dead, it's just now a free-for-all where non-coders can compete. Here's a framing that I always go back to. Let's pick someone with a 9-to-5. A regular 9-to-5 job is gonna run the average person maybe 10% of their brain power, because you have very rote tasks, very rote instructions, and you're doing the same thing over and over again. They show up, they execute the playwork, they go home, watch Netflix, go to sleep, wake up and do the same thing. Now pick someone who's trying to build a profitable company, whether that's in the 2000s, whether that's 10 years ago, or whether that's now. That person is probably running at 90, 95%. Every waking moment, every shower, every drive, every 3 a.m. bathroom trip, they're probably thinking about their business. The thing about AI is that it closes that gap, but it closes that gap for everybody. The fantasy that people sell you now on the timeline is that that gap is gone. The gap between the 10% people at the 9-to-5 and the 90, 95% people think that AI is gonna automatically make you suddenly become this person that's gonna run at 90, 95% brain capacity because AI exists. People on the timeline are selling you this dream that AI is gonna let you start a company with the same 10% brain power that it takes for you to do the same thing every day at your 9-to-5 job. But that's not how it works. That's not how any tool in the history of mankind ever has worked. What happens is if AI has lowered the cost of building to you, it's lowered the cost of building to everybody. Your competition got the exact same upgrade that you got. The same Claude Code, the same OpenClaw, the same AI tools that you now have to build a business, every single person in the world got in their hands. So what does this mean? The absolute difficulty went down, but it went down for everybody. The relative difficulty didn't move an inch. So if you want to make a business now, you still have to use the same amount of brain power as you did before AI tools were a thing. So the people who are going to win before are the people that were already running at 95% of their brain, trying to think 24/7 about creating a business that solves a problem. And those same people are going to be the ones that win tomorrow. Because regardless of whether you have an AI tool or not, if you are the type of person that's running at 95% brain power, you are constantly figuring out a way to solve someone else's problem that's willing to pay you for a solution. The game has never been just code. The game in creating a profitable business, whether it's a mobile app, whether it's a B2B software, whether it's an e-commerce product, has always been figuring out what to build, why to build it, and who to build it for. The bar didn't drop. It just moved for everybody. It moved from can you code to do you actually know what to build, who it's for, and why you're building it for them. So what does this mean if you're trying to build right now? I'm gonna give you 5 tips as someone who has been in your position where you're working a 9 to 5 and you're trying to create a profitable business online, whether it's software, e-commerce, or an agency. So number 1, stop optimizing for the part that AI helps with. The things that AI is good at, whether it's coding, drafting, writing boring AI slop copy, those parts were never really the moat. You could argue that sure, coding or the technical aspects of a company were a moat, but if you really wanted to, you could have convinced, let's say, a technical co-founder to build something for you before AI was a thing. It's just that today, this is just a layer removed and you're just working under a different bar. Your leverage now is where AI is bad, meaning taste, distribution, and leverage. That's where you should be spending the most of your time before or after your 9 to 5. Number 2, pick distribution before your product. Now I know that sounds a little odd, but hear me out. Because it's so easy to create a product, whether it's software or e-commerce or whatever, you need to work backwards from wherever the moat is now, which is going to be distribution and marketing. And this is the number 1 mistake I see from technical founders, especially founders who are working a 9 to 5 at, let's say, Meta or Netflix, and they want to create a software company. They spend months building the most beautiful app that they've ever seen, and they have 2 users. But the issue is you spend months building a beautiful app and you have 2 users. What's the point? You need to work backwards from how are you going to get your product in the hands of people to use it, to buy it, to refer it to other people. AI made the product part trivial, and it made distribution even harder, which is why you have to think about distribution even more now than ever. So you have to flip the order. Think about distribution first and which channel you're most familiar with. You probably have some sort of social media or platform that you are the most familiar with and spend the most time on, whether that's Reddit, X, Instagram, Facebook. You have some idea of this type of content fits me and what I want and what I'm building, but also most importantly, where your customers are gonna be. So for example, if you're gonna build a B2B software that's gonna be a AI podcast maker for founders, you probably wanna go on LinkedIn. But if you, for example, genuinely hate cold emails, then you probably will hate running a B2B SaaS company because that depends a lot on cold emails. Build inside the distribution channel where you have a unique advantage. Number 3. Copy and don't innovate. The amount of people that say, oh, but my idea isn't unique enough, that's not novel, I want something original. It doesn't matter. Every idea is based on a previous idea. There is no new original ideas in the world. It's all based off of previous ideas. It builds upon itself, a compounding. You need to figure out an existing problem that people already pay for that you can do better. So for example, let's say you are a staff engineer at Netflix and you had some sort of internal tool that you know Netflix was paying for. And you probably had some sort of insight on whether or not that tool was useful, how useful, were there any problems with it? Could that software have been sold to smaller companies? Now you can take that same problem set that Netflix, a huge company, was using and create a smaller version of that tool and sell it to other people. If you want to look at it from an e-commerce perspective, AG1 is probably the most popular green supplement drink out there. Take that and turn it into a gummy, which is what Grüns did, and they just got acquired for $1 billion. It's the same problem that people are already paying for, you're just adapting it into a different format. What people don't realize is that a market with competitors is actually a green flag. A lot of people will say, oh, but there's already so many people building in that, there's a lot of competitors. But that just means that people are already paying for it. That means there's a problem and a solution, and you can just figure out a way to make it better or differentiated or sell it to another subset of people that haven't found that problem yet, but they need it. Number 4, ship ugly and ship fast. The instinct from anyone who's worked at a big tech company or any big company is generally to over-engineer. And this is true for most people that are coming from a 9-to-5 and they're trying to build their own business. Because they come from this corporate environment where everything has to be perfect and polished, it runs through a chain of command. There's this whole idea that you got to do test coverage, unit testing, you got to run through every flag. The truth is though, your customers don't care. None of it matters until someone is paying you for the solution. Until then, every hour that you spend on infrastructure is an hour you could be spending figuring out how to make your product better for your customer and how to get them on your app. You have to iterate faster than the big companies, which is your advantage as a small player, is that they have to go through a whole chain of command and you don't. So pick the boring stack you know, use Supabase for your database, use Vercel for hosting, go the fastest route to get your app, your software, your e-commerce brand up and running, and then make it better as people pay you. And lastly, number 5, you need to treat marketing like a tech stack. Most engineers are bad at marketing because they treat it like a chore, but it isn't. You have to think of it as a stack. And just like any stack or any chore, the first month is gonna feel useless. It's like you're sending content into the void and you just don't get anything back. But then around month 3, as you're posting content and as you're getting marketing, you're gonna usually see partnerships. You're gonna feel something clicking. You're gonna feel people resonate with a certain type of content or a certain type of video or a certain type of post. And 12 months later, you're probably gonna start wondering why you didn't do it sooner. And the only way to learn is to do it. Because at the end of the day, we are living in an algorithm world. And if you post content and it's bad, no one's gonna see it, so who cares? If you post content and it's good, people see it and you have validation for your idea. It's a win-win scenario. Stop watching tutorials, start posting. Put your idea into the world. Start emailing, start cold calling, be bad at it for 3 months, be watchable in 6, and be great at it in 12. Look, I've done 3 exits now between software and e-commerce, and now I'm building a pretty successful offshore staffing agency called Cherry Assistant. I've been around long enough to see X is dead, and there's always been some sort of cycle. I think people confuse a shift in the bottleneck for a death trap. The game though hasn't changed, and the game is this: find a group of customers, figure out a problem that they're willing to pay for, and make a solution. And you do not have to be original in that solution. And this is exactly why the people who were gonna win 5 years ago before AI are gonna be the same people that win now. So indie hacking isn't dead, but indie hacking where you could only rely on technical execution alone is. And honestly, that version was always gonna die. AI just sped it up. So if you're building right now, you're not late, you're early. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe my channel. My name is DhungJoo Kim, and I make videos on AI, e-commerce, and building profitable businesses online.